Hey, so Mitchin Exercise Studios quite often get emails asking me various things about exercise and nutrition, but yesterday we kind of got one that was important enough to make a video about, just in case there's other people who have the same kind of questions but just haven't thought to ask us about them. So I got an email yesterday that basically says, I've been exercising hard for the last year and a half, lifting weights, doing boot camps. I'm much stronger, I can do press-ups, I can do lunges and all these other sort of things, and I thought I was getting a lot fitter. But over the weekend I had to run about 1.5 miles with my kids, and I was knackered. And this guy's not saying he just found the run hard, he's saying it was really hard. And he was quite surprised that with all the fitness stuff he was doing, he found the run so hard. So his question is, basically, has what I've been doing over the last 1.5 years actually worked? Am I any fitter? Why is this so difficult? And this is why I want to address it. So the main thing is the two different types of exercises that are happening here is an endurance-based exercise, which is running, and a more high intensity based exercise, which is your weight training, your resistance training, your boot camps, your outdoor circuits, and that sort of thing. So they're actually really different. And the reason this is important is the body will only adapt to an imposed demand. So when you have got a lot better at your press-ups, lunges, weight-based activities and all these sort of things, it doesn't necessarily mean you will have got better at the running. So here's an example, and I'll choose an analogy that's outside of fitness just to help understand. I get a client who says to me, I want to be a better musician. And basically they quite like the idea of playing drums, so we work on playing the drums and getting them to be the best drummer that they can physically be. And 6 months down the line, they are fantastic on the drums. And they go around to a friend's house who has a piano, and the friend says, well, bang out a few notes on this, let's see what you can do. And they suck, they're terrible on the piano, but does that mean that they are a poor musician? Or they lack the abilities as a musician? Or does it just mean that they've never practiced on a piano? The two things are both music related, but they're actually very different. It's exactly the same as if I was training to row across the English Channel and I use cycling as my method of training for rowing across the channel. Because they're different, I perhaps might get a little bit fitter, but it wouldn't necessarily prepare me for rowing in the same way as actually rowing would. So for those who actually care about the science of this, an endurance-based exercise uses a different, I suppose, energy system than a higher intensity interval training-based exercise. So when I do a long, drawn-out run, something like 30, 40, maybe even 60 minutes, I'm going to be using an oxidative process to draw my energy. What that simply means is I need oxygen to burn the carbohydrates to produce the actual energy, and this is why you are out of breath from the very first second of actually starting to run to the very end. You never actually recover until you've stopped doing it. You're always short of breath. What you have been doing is hitting an exercise very, very hard, having a rest, then hitting the exercise again very, very hard, which draws on the ATP pathways and the glycolytic pathways, which are completely different. So in training those two systems really, really well, the oxidative system hasn't actually got that much better because it hasn't been taxed, it hasn't been worked. There hasn't been a demand on the oxidative system, so the body hasn't needed to be more specific in that way. So testing yourself or rating yourself with fitness in relation to running is a little bit unfair on yourself when you are comparing it to the other things you do. I can pick up a weight and lift a weight lots and lots of times, and in theory, over time I should get better at lifting that weight, but I couldn't then say that I've not had any progress with lifting that weight if my measure for lifting that weight was to go and lift a completely different weight, or to go and do a marathon or whatever. So here's the thing, if you are worried about your running ability and you want to get better at running, it's quite simple. You have to do more running. But you've got to really think about why you actually want to do that? Is it because you need to do more running? If you do, and you need to be able to run 1.5 miles, 2 miles, even 6 miles, whatever it is, that's fine. You've got to be able to do it, so you do the training for it. If it's just that you want to be fitter, think about what kind of fitness levels you have now based on the exercise that you've already done. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. Hope that helped. So train for the event that you need to train for, and there's no harm in cross-training. Doing a bit of cardiovascular with a bit of resistance training so that you become a more rounded athlete. Okay, thanks guys.